Hello, Manel. It's lovely to have you here today. Can you give us a little bit of an introduction to who you are and how you've ended up here effectively?
Hi, Heather. So I'm really happy to talk to you today about the topic that we will discuss. I have been working in the pharma industry for the last 20 years, basically in the business part. So let's say I had the opportunity to grow really quickly and have a great career, having multiple positions, as you mentioned, also changing countries, cultures, managing people, and since a few years, I started my own company in the pharma industry. So clearly, I had to manage many situations during my life, and I learned a lot from that in terms of self-development, stress management, working in a corporate world, then working alone on your projects.
It's interesting because they are different stressors, aren't they? When you're working in a corporate, you have all of the stress risk factors that an organization brings. And then you think, oh, well, I'm going to work on my own. I can get rid of all of that bureaucracy and I can have autonomy and I can have all those great things that come with working for yourself. And that brings a whole different set of stress risk factors, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. When you are alone, it's like increases the like the risks of stress because you have to handle everything. You are the only decision-making person, so you know that, huh, Heather, as well as an entrepreneur.
Okay.
It's another world. You have still in the corporate world, you have still, let's say, a contour about your work. You have a framework. You have managers. You have a system. So it's not the same kind of stress, I would say. But I would add on that in the corporate world, whatever pharma or not, pharma is specific because pharma is a regulated market. So you cannot do whatever you want whenever you want in terms of marketing, promotion, or anything. Everything is regulated. So you have a clear framework, which is added
Mhm.
in stress when you manage some projects. But let's say in the corporate world, your stress is more likely regarding what you have inside of you. If I relate to myself, I would say I discovered that I am an overachiever. So basically, I need to overachieve constantly, whatever the position, whatever the situation. Take into account different systems. Let's say when I was working in the pharma as a marketeer, I had my frame in the corporate with my overachieving model. Then when I went into sales, I went in the field with another business model, another stress management. When I became a manager, I had to hire and train and educate, another type of stress. So you see, every time, which is good when you have a career and you move on the ladder, it's rewarding, it's recognition, and you find yourself, growing and learning and having different skills. But at the same time, your stress changed differently, like change a little bit, but it's still there.
Oh, I just love this, Manel, because I can see how much we have such similar experiences here. And I really relate to the overachiever. I discovered 18 months ago that I was a perfectionist, and that was huge for me because I had had no idea. And this holy storm of characteristics, which is perfectionism mixed with people pleasing, mixed with having really high self efficacy, and being an achiever. And it's actually a massive recipe for burnout, which has occurred for me on a couple of occasions. Have you got any personal experience of that too?
I would say, so just to your point, I think there is the overachieving aspect, we discover it. At the beginning, we think that, yeah, it's normal. Like you have to achieve, you have a task, you have to do it. But then you want to do it rapidly in emergent situation, take on other projects because you love taking on other projects. And then, you became what I said, an anxious overachiever. Like anxiety lives with you. So how I discover that is like anxious overachievers tend to burn out, obviously, because you are like you need to prove yourself all the time to
Yep.
get validation. And it's not your validation, it's validation outside, validation of your manager, of the system, being in the radar for the next position, for the next recognition. You are always running after that, and you never celebrate. Progress is normal. Progress is not a celebration moment. You never stop. It's normal that you grow, and it's in your DNA. You think that is in your DNA. So burnout comes with that. Come with that when you are still running after something, and you don't know anymore what is your purpose. You don't know anymore if it's if it's in link with your inner purpose, your inner ambition. So you run, and you continue to show yourself, prove yourself that you are worth it, that you are validated in this system. And this is how comes the burnout, I would say.
Oh, 100%. And I think what's interesting about what you've mentioned on several occasions now, which I absolutely agree with, is that, in the UK, quite often we talk about organizational stress risk factors, and as if the organization is a machine on its own and that we're not individuals interacting with that. So for me, the power comes when you acknowledge that I'm a human being and I'm interacting with that system. So what am I doing as an individual, which is actually, exacerbating that. And then you also end up with a system where you've got a whole load of overachievers who hire other overachievers. And then that becomes the culture, doesn't it? And it's like
Absolutely.
no other way of being is possible for anyone in that organization, because people like us, perfectionists, we don't respect people who don't always do their best. So we hire
Absolutely.
people like that, don't we? So for me, that interaction between us as a human being and the system in which we operate is the sweet spot where we can make a difference as an individual, because we can't make too much a difference to the system, can we?
You are completely right. So we tend to work with people who are like us. Absolutely. We
Mm-hmm.
want, because it's like a security for us. We think like them. We'll think like the people we hire. And it's a comfort zone. And absolutely. And this has to be broken somehow. And you mentioned a point. For me, it's key. It's vulnerability. Showing your vulnerability, it's something that is not allowed, as you know. And I
Yeah.
thought at the time it was not allowed only in the structure of corporate, because you want to show that you are strong. You want to show that you overcome any fear, that you could put yourself out there if you want to be the next general manager, the next CEO. But at the same time, when I left to build my own company, because it was like always my ambition, my purpose, I discovered that it was the same, didn't change much. So you say, okay, it's my company, but I'm thinking the same way. I'm running the same way, and I don't want to show vulnerability to my shareholders, or I don't want to show vulnerability to my partners, because like I need to be strong and overcome anything, because people rely on me. So clearly, this is something that is within you. And if you think that leaving the world of the corporate, going somewhere else, you will completely change, it doesn't go that way. It has to be inside of you. It has to be a decision that you make consciously to change how you behave and what do you believe.
And for me, recognition is the first part of the battle, isn't it? And unless you do actually, because something like perfectionism, overachievement, we don't even have that conversation generally as there being any weakness in that, do we? It's generally perceived as a very good thing in our society. And actually, what we don't think about is the stress and anxiety that brings both for ourselves and those around us. And we don't, there's a huge amount of validation that comes from that, isn't there? And actually, but recognizing that there is a negative to that as well as a positive is actually really critical, isn't it? And actually understanding that's my driver, that's how I operate. Oh my goodness me. So when someone makes a mistake around me now, my first reaction is like, and then my
Yeah.
second is calm down, because actually it isn't the end of the world. They're doing their best. Nobody's perfect. And then I can address that situation in a much more powerful way than I would have done before I'd recognized my own drivers. Can you relate to that?
Absolutely, Heather. I think we think the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have, you think, I love the people who say, yeah, you are learning, it's a mistake, you learn from your mistakes. And yeah, but at the same time, you keep it like they did a mistake. It's like, no, you don't like erase it. So you say, yeah, if this person did a mistake, if I did a mistake, it's in my let's say, performance will be highlighted somehow. So I need to be perfect. I need to show only successes, strength, overcoming any fear, overcoming any issue. And, I tend to, with my experience as well, I was always, when I teach I give some conferences to students in the pharma world, I tend to say, be careful with something, make yourself comfortable as maximum as you can within a position, and do not go in something completely different everywhere. So I give an example. For example, when I decided to move to Switzerland in order to have a much bigger position with like a global position within a pharma company, I said, okay, I know the company. I am in the same company, so I am comfortable somehow. Even though I changed the culture, I changed the position, I changed the team, I changed the manager, so I still have this comfort zone, which is the same company. So I tend to say to students who want to change, the position every 1 year and a half, be consistent, try to build something within your company. And if you move out of your company, try to at least stay comfortable in something in order to reduce the stress and the
Yeah.
anxiety. Because if you
Yeah.
go to another company, another position, another team, another country, you set yourself for maximum stress.
Yeah.
And this is something that I
Absolutely.
see from my experience.
Hmm. And what I'm interested in, Manel, we do a lot of work in pharmaceutical actually, and I love working in the pharmaceutical industry. We mostly do training. So we train people in how to have a good conversation with someone struggling. We also train in how to look after yourself from a resilience perspective in all sorts of ways. And we do a lot of work in pharmaceutical. And I'm interested in your view here. Are there characteristics? You talked about the regulatory framework as being a stress risk factor, but are there other stress risk factors in pharmaceuticals, do you think?
In what I say, for me, pharmaceutical, whatever the corporate world with my friends, my network outside of pharma is the same stress. I would say in terms of if you want to have a career and if you want to go up the ladder very quickly, you need to manage your network. You need to be successful, to be overachieving every time, to be in the performance landscape, identified by your manager as the next GM, general manager, or the next CEO. So it's something that you need to plan, and you need to have a network around. So it's a lot of work. It's not just achieving what you have to achieve, but also knowing the right people, increasing your network, participating, being out there, being outspoken. So all this is a lot of things that you need to manage and increase stress. So this is whatever the corporate. Regarding pharma world, when in my case you work in the business side, in the sales side, the commercial side, the strategy side, of course you cannot do whatever you want because it's regulated. We are talking about patients, doctors, so products, pharma products, specifically in Europe, you cannot really promote like in the US. So you have to Absolutely. I think you are completely right in terms of the definition of stress and how it comes to everybody. In my case, I would say I was more stressed after my pharma corporate world and more into the entrepreneur life since the last 7 years. So this is like the one, I would say like the stress saying that you need to be out there all the time and take decisions and manage and be successful and work on yourself every day and wake up saying to yourself, wow, this will be a great day, even though I know that 80% of the time it will be problem solving situation. So yeah, when you come to problem solving all the time and you start questioning, how can I manage that? Am I still aligned with my purpose? Am I going to continue like this for many years? Yeah, I took the responsibility and it's my purpose. So I know that I'm going to continue. I will never leave my company, my projects, and anything that is related to the entrepreneur life. So I'm done for that, and I know by heart how I can manage it, you know. So I started working on myself and saying, okay, I can be vulnerable. I can be vulnerable. I can say, okay, this I don't know. This I need help. Ask for help. It's key. Without judgment. So, and I tend to always, I think, with the time to listen to everybody and take my decision and do not listen to people who are not in your field, don't know you much, or are criticizing, or they don't know exactly what they are doing in terms of entrepreneurship